Welcome back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Blue Jays Way podcast with Chris May and Jack Ryan here again. It's great to be back. We have a lot of news in the land of the Toronto Blue Jays happened in the couple past few weeks since we recorded. But first things first, I want to get something off my chest. I am wearing a Dodgers hat. I know that may offend some people, but I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm not a Dodgers fan. I just like the hat, and I'm definitely going to get the Blue Jays hat soon. Just the last one I had got all tarnished. So I'm in need of a new one for the season here. I'll get that figured out soon, but I'm not a Dodgers fan. I just like the logo. I like the style. What can you do?
Hey man, it's a nice hat.
But
It's a
yes,
nice hat.
thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
First and foremost, always a Blue Jays fan, always will be. So no worries there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jack, obviously we got plenty to get into here, including a big trade for the Toronto Blue Jays that really changed is going to change the tone of how we're talking about the team looking into next season. Things were a little bleak last episode, specifically with the outfield. We weren't too convinced that starting outfield was going to be one that could do a lot of damage or scare a lot of people or even excite us that much. But that quickly changed because there was a major deal involving a top prospect and a very, very, very intriguing outfielder that not a lot of people know about. So hopefully we can introduce some people to Daulton Varsho, who is now a member of the Toronto Blue Jays, a left-handed hitting defensive
specialist.
Gem in the outfield. He's 26 years old. He is locked down until 2026. So no impending free agent decision to be made on him, which is great news. I think that's a big reason of why this deal was made. So Jack, we'll get into the pieces moving the other way. And we know there's a lot of controversy about the asset management in this trade from the Toronto Blue Jays. But let me just go to you right now. Your raw initial reaction to hearing that Dalton Varsho is going to be a member of the Toronto Blue Jays?
Well, dude, pardon my French, but I fucking love this trade. Everything about it was exactly what the Toronto Blue Jays needed. They needed another lefty bat in the batting order. They got that. They needed a better defensive outfielder. They got that in Dalton Varsho. The guy had the highest outs above average for any outfielder last year. He led the majors with 18. He was a Gold Glove finalist. Power bat, lefty. Like, he hit 27 bombs last year. The average was only 235. But again, if he's hitting in the 6 or 5 spot, I'm not really worried about average. I want him to drive guys in. And he's got speed. The guy stole 16 bases, which he would have led the team. Had he been on the Blue Jays last year, he would have led the team in stolen bases, as it was George Springer last season with 14. So this trade for the Blue Jays ticks all the boxes for me. They're going to be sticking him in left field, which we'll talk more about. Maybe should he start in right or left or center or whatever. But as of right now, he is in left field, and I love this trade. It was exactly what the Blue Jays needed.
I agree with you. I was fending off a lot of friends that were saying, what are we doing here? Giving up a guy with so much potential in Gabriel Moreno. And I think a big part of the reason why there was a bit of a negative reaction to this trade was that Varsho wasn't seen very much, especially by fans in Toronto. The Jays and Diamondbacks did not play. But I know at work, I watched a lot of Dalton Varsho, and I was extremely impressed every time I was keeping an eye on an Arizona Diamondbacks game. He was making plays. He was making great catches in the outfield, catches on balls that not a lot of people could get to. Absolutely. He's like a linebacker, man. This guy's built. He's short. He's stocky.
He's 5'10", 205 pounds. Big boy.
This guy is explosive. He gets a great jump on balls, and he'll get to balls in the gap that you wouldn't expect many players to get to. And at Rogers Center, with this kind of compact outfield, I mean, it's a big outfield, but there's not many kind of long runs that you have to go into kind of deep corners, say like in like San Francisco or even in Arizona. There's these big channels in the outfield. And in terms of the offense, Chase Field out in Arizona is statistically the hardest ballpark to hit home runs in.
Yeah, and he hit 27.
He played the majority of his games there. He hit 27. I think it's a given that he'll hit over 30 in the Rogers Center with playing the majority of his games at the Rogers Center and in those AL East ballparks like Yankee Stadium. Yankees fans are not going to enjoy him coming in there because he's going to just hit a couple out the right field there, the short.
And he's going to rob a couple of them in the left from Aaron Judge. It'll be fine.
Yeah, there will be a fair amount of right field and home runs hit by Varsho in Yankee Stadium. But now let's kind of get into the sensitive issue with this trade because we're both big fans of the Varsho move. We think it adds balance to the lineup and it's a great defensive move. I mean, I was just checking this out too. His WAR last season, his total WAR, 38th in the entire league. A lot of that coming from his defense, but higher than guys like Corey Seager, Bo Bichette, George Springer, Carlos Correa.
Yeah. We'll get to more about him in a bit, but
Zach Wheeler, Alec Manoah, obviously pitchers, it's a bit different. Byron Buxton, who was hurt a lot of the year, but you look at some of those names, like this guy,
all stars.
This guy is a very, very good player. He's a kind of a unicorn.
Yeah.
And we kind of left out the fact that he can also catch, which is extremely interesting. I don't think the Jays are going to want to do that too often.
I mean, it's an SOS situation. Fine. If Jansen gets injured and Kirk can't catch that day, they're like, well, Dalton's there. We'll throw him out there.
But it's a great thing to have. Like you cannot stress we've seen it so often, how often, unexpected injuries happen and guys are shuffling around. You come into the season with a plan, but that plan often does not come to fruition. It doesn't happen perfectly. So just to have that kind of backup plan with catchers who are injury prone and Kirk who needs a day off frequently.
Unfortunate, but true.
It really had me excited. And it was interesting because I see this trade. I get fired up because I've seen a lot of Varsho and I love what he brings to the table, but I see a lot of negative reaction, mainly because the stud of the pipeline, Gabriel Moreno, is heading the other way. And last episode, I don't want to gas myself up too much, but I said,
no, dude, go. You called it.
Okay.
You freaking called it.
I won't do it for more than 30 seconds. But yes, I thought this was definitely a fit for the Jays. And I thought that Moreno, if the Diamondbacks were going to move Varsho, I was a bit surprised about that because they had a lot of other outfielders and he is kind of the crown jewel of their outfield. But if you were to make a deal with the Diamondbacks for Varsho, Gabriel Moreno would most likely have to be the catcher moved just because of what the Diamondbacks are trying to build and their kind of age bracket of all their young and up and coming studs that they have in their pipeline. So it makes sense for both teams, in my opinion. A lot of Blue Jays fans were not happy about saying goodbye to a fan favorite in Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who we'll get into more and kind of pay our dues to him and share our favorite moments of him because there was a lot of them. He seemed like an unreal guy, really fun guy. And then Gabriel Moreno, who had a lot of promise. Those are two tough guys to say goodbye to. But you kind of have to look at, in the sense of the Blue Jays, the excitement of the kind of player they're getting back. But Jack, on the two players being moved, do you think it was a fair trade? Are you kind of upset about letting either of those guys go, or can you see kind of the vision and the reasoning behind it for both teams?
I can see the reason behind it for both teams. I totally understand. It sucks because Gurriel was one of my favorite players on the team. He brought so much energy and excitement to the ballpark every day. I have so many fond memories of, watching him patrol left field. I remember when he first came up, he was at shortstop before Bo came up, and I was like, man, this guy's gonna be good. And then when Bo came up, they're like, hey, we're gonna send you down to AAA. You're gonna learn how to play left field. He did that, and then he showed off his arm numerous times when he tracked down a ball and throw a guy out at second or third or home. Not to mention my all-time favorite memory against the Oakland Athletics last year, where the Jays were down 8-4. Gurriel comes up, bases loaded, just absolute pimp shot, granddaddy slam to left field. So that for me was my biggest and fondest memory of Lourdes Gurriel Jr. I'll miss him very much, but again, the Jays are in win now mode, and his contract, he's a free agent at the end of next season. So for me, it's the right call because you got Varsho, like you said, till 2026 under team control. And with Moreno, we haven't seen enough of him, so I didn't really have that personal connection to him. I admit he was the best prospect I think since Vladdy for this team, as far as guys that watch out for him, because when his time comes, he's coming in hot and heavy. So Moreno, I think he'll be the starting catcher for the Diamondbacks probably by just after the All-Star break, August.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think he'll definitely be on the team down in Arizona when the season starts, maybe as a kind of backup to Carson Kelly to start the season. But I think once he shows, people what he can do and his skill set, they'll make room for him for sure. And it's a really good move for the Diamondbacks. It fits kind of what they're trying to do perfectly. It and Gurriel will be solid too. I mean, my kind of thing with Gurriel, I loved him as a person, as an energy kind of guy in the dugout. He was just a little inconsistent. And it's not a bad thing because when
he's a very streaky hitter.
He was. Like I remember last year, for about a month, he was batting leadoff. He was, getting 2 hits a game. He was slapping balls the other way. He really kind of seemed to find his groove contact wise. He was taking a smart approach to the plate. But then a month later, he kind of lost that, and he was swinging at balls outside the zone. He was striking out a lot. He kind of lost a lot of power last season. He only hit 5 home runs, which for me was a bit of a surprise.
Didn't the year before he hit like 21 or something like that?
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise for me. I think, it's a testament to him kind of changing up his approach at the plate, which is good because I think maybe he realized if I'm going to slot in, higher up in the lineup, I need to get on base and set the table for the guys behind me, and I respect that a lot. But I just think the inconsistencies with Lourdes made him a bit frustrating sometimes, even in the field. He made a lot of nice plays, but then there were some plays that, you'd expect him to make and he didn't. It's not a knock on his fielding. He's a solid fielder. He's good enough for any MLB team out there. But it was just kind of the ups and downs with him that I think was another reason why this trade made sense, because Varsho defensively is extremely consistent, and offensively he just adds a different kind of look in the Blue Jays lineup. Whereas with Gurriel, you're kind of running out another right-handed bat, and teams can attack these righties in the lineup in similar ways. But with Varsho, you're getting a completely different look at the plate, and defensively, he is an improvement for sure.
Exactly.
I just, with Moreno, it sucks because he did come up and he showed a lot of great, attributes, especially defensively. Like he had a cannon for an arm. He was throwing guys out immediately once he came up. I thought that would have been, really, really nice to have the Jays have a guy like that behind the plate for years to come. But again, we were stressing this last episode, like the catching depth on the Blue Jays, whichever guy gets moved, there will still be 2 very, very, very good
all-star level catchers. Either way,
whichever combination of the 2 it is. And I still think with Jansen and Kirk, you are getting, an extremely one of the top 5 duos behind the plate in the league. So I don't think there's too much room to panic. I think once Jays fans see Varsho in uniform and see some of the plays that he can make, I think that there will be a lot more excitement around him. And I think once Jays fans have kind of started reading into him and hearing what people have to say about Varsho, they're getting a bit more excited because you hear the name and you're like, who's that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's all about exposure, man.
Yeah,
it's all about exposure, and he just didn't have it because Arizona's been.
And I can't wait for him to come into the AL East and really announce himself in these ballparks where he's gonna show off a lot of power and he's gonna make some incredible plays. And
absolutely.
Where do you think they slot him in the lineup? Looking at it now.
Well, assuming Springer's still your leadoff hitter, right? Which
he will be.
And then you could probably go Bo second, Vladdy third, Kirk Kirk will be fourth. I like Kirk in the cleanup spot. He did good there last year. If it's a right-handed pitcher, I'm going Varsho fifth. It's a lefty, maybe 7th or 8th. Let another righty maybe slot up Chapman in that 5 spot. But hey, man,
I agree.
I like him wherever he is.
I also think an option could be against a right-handed pitcher to slot Varsho in at hitting second and maybe move Bo down to 4 because we have seen Bo have success in the cleanup spot, and Varsho is quick.
Yeah, I'd argue he's quicker.
He might not look like he's quick, but he can. If he gets on base, he can run around the bases, and him and Springer on the bases together could make things really messy.
I urge people watching this podcast episode when it comes out, I urge people to go look up Dalton Varsho 2022 highlights. You will not be disappointed.
Familiarize with yourself because he's a unicorn of a player. He's a very unique player, and I'm
going to put the link. I'm going to put the link in the description of the episode so you guys can go watch that.
Absolutely, right? I think that's a great thing for everyone to see. And he is the best player in this trade.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Blue Jays got the best player in this trade.
Well, dude, his WAR last year was 4.9, almost 5. You said it was 38th best in Major League Baseball, right? Dude, that WAR just from that one guy was higher than Teoscar Hernandez and Lourdes Gurriel Jr.'s WAR combined.
Yeah.
Do I need to say anything else?
No, they're getting a very effective player, and I think once I'd say halfway through the season, even a couple months into the season, a lot of people are going to realize what he can do and how kind of impressive he is on a baseball field, because he's not like really any other player in the league. He is very, very interesting, and he's going to be a fun guy to root for. It reminds me of Matt Chapman. Like,
yeah,
he's a different type of player to what the Jays have had. And he is a very, very fun player to watch when he's on your side and he's running down these balls and he's making these incredible athletic plays.
Yeah.
So the Blue Jays got better. I think that's something that we can 100% agree on. They are now definitely asserting themselves. They're still going for it. They're still trying to win now. They're strong.
They're stronger defensively and on the base pass. You got Kevin Kiermaier's,
and they're more dynamic in their lineups that they can throw out there.
Yep.
However, pitching is still something that we're looking at, especially bullpen help. And the Blue Jays have made a couple of small little kind of moves since we chatted, picking up a couple bullpen arms including not even 2 hours ago. Yeah. They picked up a young man by the name of Junior Fernandez. Yeah. He was claimed off waivers from the Yankees. But he didn't play for the Yankees last season. He played 13 games with the Cardinals and then 3 with the Pirates, posting a very intriguing 2.41 ERA. And kind of before we started recording, we saw this news and we were kind of chatting about Fernandez and just taking a look at kind of his pitch mix and, just the kind of what he can offer this bullpen. Who knows if he'll start in the majors or start in AAA. He's probably going to be.
He's kind of in the same boat as Zach Pop. He's 25, 26 years, both respectively 25 and 26. They're both sinker ballers, right-handed, power arms, right? But again, Pete Walker's got a lot on his plate this year.
He's got projects,
and that's exactly.
And I've been saying, can we be done with Pete Walker projects? We just bring guys in who are just studs, like the Mets. Just bring in a Verlander, bring in a Scherzer. These guys. But anyways, we your Stampy Choosers here. Pete Walker's a good pitching coach, and he has shown that he can, make guys and improve guys with his kind of coaching and his strategies. But this guy's intriguing. I must say, he has got 4-pitch mix with the sinker, slider, 4-seam fastball, changeup. He throws hard.
He throws gas.
He averages about 98, 99 with the 4-seamer and about 98 with the sinker. His movement doesn't seem to be all that great. His fastball spin on Baseball Savant here is in the 16th percentile, which is poor. It's rated as poor. But, spin is something that you can work with and you can improve.
Yeah, and if he's throwing 99, the spin rate really matter,
And Jays fans and we've been clamoring we need hard throwers at the back of the bullpen. We need this velocity. We're not going anywhere unless we have more than Romano in terms of guys throwing high 90 fastballs.
Even Eric Swanson, the guy they picked up in the Teoscar trade, he's not really much of a fireballer. His average fastball around 93.5. So
and so that's an interesting signing. I think they'll definitely take a look at his arm in spring training and see kind of how good that ball looks coming out of his hand, and if they can maybe make it move, or if they can get him in a certain spot up and in, maybe to righties, make him effective. I think that's an interesting signing, and I think that's a kind of a heads up move by the Jays, because bullpen is the weakness now. We were talking about the outfield being the weakness. That's not the weakness anymore.
That's arguably the strength. It's arguably the strength now.
You got Springer. Who's starting in the outfield day one?
Oh, I'm going Varsho in left, Springer in right, and Kiermaier in center.
So Kiermaier's still a starting outfielder on this team.
Unfortunately, I can't think of another outfielder that they have. Right?
It's better. It's better.
It's
better than it was. He's
better defensively for sure.
He's going to be batting ninth. He's going to be like the second leadoff hitter. Yeah. Just try and get on base and just
slap a single, steal a bag.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. If he goes 1 for 4 every game, who cares?
I can live with that. I'm definitely more excited than I was last. I think I seemed a little bleak last episode with the outfield prospects, but losing a guy who hits just mammoth home runs like Teoscar for a guy who maybe is going to hit 1 this year in Kiermaier. It didn't have me that excited, but Varsho is sick.
He'll hit 1.
He might, and we'll see. If
he's got power, he's just not a good contact hitter. It's fine.
If Bradley Zimmer's into one off of Justin Verlander,
my God, I still cannot believe that happened. That was so crazy. Everyone saw that happen.
The best thing about that home run is that Michael Brantley fell. I think it caught Michael Brantley off guard too. He's like, Bradley Zimmer hit one that far. Like he moved in and he completely wiped out. He's like, whoa, Bradley Zimmer's got some power.
Yeah, I remember that.
What are we doing?
He got up chuckling.
Yeah, I know. That was the funniest moment maybe of the Blue Jays season last year. That had me rolling on the ground. So yeah, okay. Kiermaier, Varsho, and Springer. That's nice. That's a great defensive outfield.
Yeah.
I think we will see immense improvement in terms of guys getting the balls, guys throwing balls in
Springer's arm and legs staying healthy.
Smart outfield play. There's going to be some athletic plays out there. We're going to have some diving, impressive catches from all three of those guys. That's a nice outfield. But with the bats, Springer and Varsho are good hitters. Kiermaier, I think he can do the job. So, and they might even add another guy.
Robbie Grossman, Andrew McCutcheon. Yeah. Any names? Bring back Ryan Tapia, possibly, as a fourth outfielder. Could happen. Could very well happen. I mean, they let him go, but still, come back. Come back. Well, I mean,
Tapia, he was good. He had some good moments, but pretty underwhelmed.
I want to circle back real quick to the whole Gurriel trade. Doesn't it feel like the whole culture of the team is a complete shakeup now? You hired Don Mattingly as the bench coach. He doesn't really...
we can maybe touch on that a little bit too.
Because dude, he doesn't take anything from anybody. He's all business. The guy's one of the greatest hitters of his generation. All business, no pleasure until the last pitch is thrown.
I like that combination a lot with Schneider, because Schneider obviously
he knows all the young guys.
He didn't have a storied career, but he's obviously a good communicator. Mm-hmm. He's
had the best record in the AL East.
He's kind of an advanced manager in terms of, bullpen usage and stuff like that. Like he's a progressive young manager who's got a good relationship with these guys. But I think in a guy like Mattingly, it's like, he's seen it all.
He's done it all too.
If there's ever a situation to attack where Schneider's like I've never seen this before, Mattingly can kind of step in and get in his ear and say, well, this is, my experience with this type of situation. This is what I've seen, and he can kind of bounce ideas off of Mattingly. I think that's a smart hiring, and it does bring kind of a no nonsense, we're here to work kind of thing, which I think the Jays already had.
Well, Bo Bichette too. He was always sick of the home run deck. He get it off me. I don't want to have to say Oscar with the seeds, Lourdes making drinks in the end of the dugout. I mean, it sucks for Vladdy because his two bros are gone, but at the same time, you want to win. This is how you do it. No BS attitude. You just go to work. You put your head down. Nose to the grindstone. That's it.
The home run celebration prop should be a hard hat next year. Just get your hard hat on and go to work. If Bo had his way, that's probably what it would be. But no, I respect Bo for that. He's a hard worker, and he seems to really take things very seriously, which is all you can really ask for. You can never get mad at a guy for that.
No.
So yeah. The Toronto Blue Jays are continuing to make big moves. Let's maybe look around the league now that we've kind of gone over what the Blue Jays have done and how they're looking now. I think they're very much in the mix for the division once again. Hopefully, a team doesn't go on an insane run to start the year like the Yankees did last year.
The Jays for the division, dude. Have you seen the rankings that? The MLB's come out with MLB Network and MLB Instagram has come out with?
I saw their first power rankings. They had them 8th.
The Rays are 3rd. The Rays are going to come 2nd in the division. They lost half their team in free agency, dude. They just let a bunch of guys go, and somehow, well, again, it's the Rays. They always they do some voodoo ritual magic, and
I know. I always say that the Rays have made a deal with the devil.
Yeah, Kevin Cash. If he disappears in a couple of years, why Satan dragged him down to hell. The guy, dude. I don't know what it is. They just find ways to make they lose a bunch of pieces because they can't afford to pay these guys, and then they come back and somehow they're 2 times better than they were the previous year. Doesn't make any goddamn sense.
But yeah, let's get into some of the interesting news around the league. The Boston Red Sox is what's his name? Chaim Bloom.
Not sure.
Is he back in the good graces of Red Sox fan? Has he done enough? He locked up their stud third baseman. I do like Rafael Devers. I am a fan of the way he plays.
He's an offensive stud. His defense needs a lot of work.
Yeah, but he's a fairly impressive player to watch. Like I do really like watching him play, and by that I mean the combination that he's got in his lower lip. Incredibly impressive with what he's able to do there.
The shoe and the double bubble.
He's got a second baseball always on him.
Yeah, he's sitting there on.
Oh my god, it's insane, but I'm a big fan of that.
I'm like, how are you doing that?
I'm surprised he doesn't like have an insane head rush. Like I don't know how he can see straight, man.
How do you think he stays calm at the dish? He's got that lip pack.
I'm sure he's been doing it since he was very, very young.
I don't want to know what his bottom of teeth look like.
It's a comfort thing for him. But he's going to be sticking around and he's going to be tormenting the Toronto Blue Jays because that's what he's done for 11 more seasons. Unless he gets traded at some point during this deal, upwards of 300 million, I believe it was like
331 million over 11 years. So he's making 30 million and change per season. I think it's 30 million 90,000 something.
I think that's a very, very, very good deal from the Red Sox perspective. I think he could have gotten upwards of 350 million.
Now, this means they're not hunting after Manny Machado when he opts out of his contract next year. So
I think their focus was always going to be keeping Rafael Devers because the guy is the face of the franchise now. Oh, yeah. And if they lost him,
yeah,
I can't even imagine the scenes if they lost him.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
So that's in terms of the Blue Jays. That one hits close to home, and I don't love it because very good. He's very good, and he's going to come in and against the Blue Jays, and he's going to hit a lot more home runs, and hopefully the Blue Jays can just score more runs in those games because the rest of the Boston Red Sox, roster is nowhere near as good as the Toronto Blue Jays. Yeah. However, they do have a very, very good player in Rafael Devers, and then let's move on to the absolute soap opera that is going on in the Bay Area, in the Big Apple, with Mr. Carlos Correa. Obviously, medical issues arise with the Giants, and that deal fell through. And within 24 hours, he has inked an equally massive deal with the Mets. And now the medical has fallen through again. People are wondering and concerned that he suffered a kind of a career-ending type of injury in his foot.
No, it's his fibula in his right leg or something. So he had it surgically repaired in his lower leg.
Yeah. And there's a plate in there. People are kind of pointing out different plays from last year where he aggravated it. He put together a really, really good season last year with the Twins. But he only
played like 110 games though because he was injured.
Yeah. But if you are a Mets fan, do you want him? Do you think there's a way that he can maybe take a lower risk contract, like maybe another 1-year contract and see how the body holds up? 1-year deal for maybe, around 30 million, what he would be getting, but just kind of lower the risk in terms of the years of it? Or are you staying away from that?
Chris, 2 failed physicals and 2 contract pullouts by 2 different teams. That proves to me that Carlos Correa he's not worth that money. If teams are not willing to pay him upwards of 30 million for multiple years, he's got to take like a 1-year, $10 million to $15 million contract just to prove I can still play. Mm-hmm. And it sucks, but it sucks for him because, he believes in his heart that he can, perform at the highest level and get paid to do so. But if you have 2 failed physicals from 2 different ball clubs by 2 different or more doctors, then to me, and it doesn't help that Scott Boras is his agent. Scott Boras always goes after the big bucks. That's why he's the most successful sporting agent in the history of sports.
I know. Scott Boras is the best ever.
Well, he got Scherzer that massive contract with the Mets. He got Semien the massive contract with the Rangers. I think he's also Jacob deGrom's agent, if I'm not mistaken. He got him the massive contract with the Rangers.
He's like everyone's agent.
He's at least 20% of the league is represented by him. So
and he's also convinced 2 teams that Carlos Correa is worth giving that money to, even with serious issues.
He'll go to the Dodgers. They need a shortstop. They'll go get him. We'll pay him.
I think he's in for another 1-year deal.
1-year deal? Oakland for $4 million?
No, it's going to be with the Dodgers or the Mets, in my opinion. I think the Mets are still trying to work something out. But I don't think they're going to be willing to risk so much term in the contract. I think we could be a kind of a, let's see how your body's holding up. Let's give you a year. We want you here. We want to see you play, but we can't, with the injury that you sustained, we can't at any moment. It seems like his career could end. Like
I saw a video of him sliding into second, trying to steal or something, and his leg kind of clips the bag awkwardly, and he's like laid out, and he's like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, so
kind of a mundane play, like a play that happens in every game, and if something like that could put a team on the hook for, God, $300 million
or more. Yeah.
And he's not playing for you.
Yeah. He's on the right side of 30. He's under 30 years old, which is good. But again, if he's going to be an injury risk where you're like, I don't want to pay a guy $35 million a year if he's only going to give me 60% of the year playing.
Or he could be done.
Or he could be done.
You could have him for 5 years at the end of that deal and he won't play.
He gets the Bobby Bonilla contract. He gets $1 million a year till he's 55.
Yeah. And obviously, we hope for the best for Carlos Correa and his injury and his health, because he's a very exciting player, and when he's playing, the game is in a better place because he's an electrifying player, and he's one of the top shortstops in baseball. But Jack, I think we've kind of been through everything we wanted to get through. Daulton Varsho is a member of the Toronto Blue Jays. That is very, very, very exciting.
Do you think he's going to take over 13? He's going to wear number 13? So Gurriel fans are going to wear Gurriel's number as for the guy who got traded for.
Why not? Like,
I don't mind it. I don't care.
Gurriel is not a Hall of Famer. He's not going in the blue. His jersey's not going to be retired.
No,
I don't think there's any disrespect there.
No,
I think Gurriel, if he ever returns to the Rogers Center, will get his welcome, his return, his appreciation, and his thank you. And then we're both.
Hang on, let's see. Let's look at the Blue Jays 2023 schedule. And then see if or when the Diamondbacks come to town.
They will play. I don't know if it'll be at home or away, though. They will play once this year. I don't know if the series will be in Toronto or in Arizona. We'll have to see.
Let's take a look, shall we?
Yeah, let's see.
I cannot, dude. I truly do hope that they play them at the Rogers Center. Let's see.
Yeah, that would be a cool game to go to. We should maybe try and go to that one.
Absolutely. We'll maybe do a live video on the Instagram and be like, hey, how's it going? We're here to see the boys. Diamondbacks. Yep. Here we go. July 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Okay. That's perfect.
So we go on the Friday, the July 14th at 7:07. I think that could be a play.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And he will get a great, him and Gabby will both get, a big ovation and a big thank you for the contributions. But like we said, and we can't stress this enough, the Toronto Blue Jays got the best player in this trade and their team got better. It's going to, it adds a different look. It might take some getting used to, but Dalton Varsho, I think, will quickly win over the hearts of Blue Jays fans with his effort, with kind of his, he seems like a no-nonsense guy as well. He's not going to be joking around as much, but it's kind of what you want. At least I know we both want those guys that, it's not a party. You're there to work.
Exactly.
You're there to win ball games.
It's a job. It's a job like anything else. You can party after. Yeah,
exactly. And one more thing, very sad, but it's kind of consumed the sports world. Damar Hamlin, Jack and I were both thinking of him. He's been showing encouraging signs in Cincinnati there.
He's awake. He's responsive. He's with his family, which is good.
Yeah, it's looking like he's gonna pull through. Incredibly scary stuff. Never want to see that, but we're both thinking of him, and he's gonna pull through, and he's gonna wake up and see all the love he's gotten, which is gonna be pretty powerful. And so we just want to kind of end it off with that.
I mean, hey man, I'm a Patriots fan and he's a Bills player, but it's bigger than football. It's bigger than sports. When it comes down to cardiac arrest on the field, it doesn't matter what team you cheer for. You can't help but be supportive of that. Yeah.
I think that's a good way to end things off, Jack. It was a pleasure again. We will kind of maybe start previewing some more things about the season, taking maybe more of a look at the prospect pipeline and where things stand now that Gabriel Moreno is not in it in an upcoming episode. And then if any other news drops, we will also be on that as well. So from Jack, I've been Chris. This has been a good episode. Happy to do this with you, buddy. And we're buddy. Keep it going. And the second episode of the Blue Jays Way podcast. Thank you guys very much for listening, and we will talk to you guys later. See you guys.
Take care, folks.